The Rise of Africa, the continent, the diaspora, and BRICS explores the relationships that are affecting the global economy right now. This book explores the relationships of the African diaspora's influence on the African continent and why this is important in stabilizing relationships with an understanding of how BRICS impacts the future, good or bad. You can order your copy of The Rise of Africa today on Amazon.com.
Every journey begins with a simple act of care. For Quest to Unite Africa, that journey started with something simple: a mother, a newborn, and a promise that no life would be forgotten. We did not begin with buildings, we began with people. We packed mother newborn kits with our own hands because real change starts where the need is greatest. Those kits traveled farther than we imagined, and they opened our eyes to a deeper truth. Aid saves lives, but infrastructure saves generations. So we grew. Together with donors, volunteers, and partners, we sent a medical container to Burkina Faso. Not just supplies, but hope. Not just boxes, but proof that when a community comes together, healing moves across borders. That moment changed us because we realized something powerful. We weren't just delivering help, we were building a future. Now, the journey continues. The next chapter is bigger than a shipment, bigger than a campaign. We are raising funds to build a state-of-the-art hospital, a place where mothers can give birth safely, where families can find care close to home, and where communities can grow stronger for generations to come. This hospital is not just a structure, it's a promise. A promise that healthcare will no longer be temporary. A promise that dignity will have a permanent home. And just like every step before, we cannot do this alone. Every gift, every brick, every name placed on the founder path becomes part of a story that began with compassion and is growing into legacy. It helps us move from emergency aid to lasting healing, from containers to care that never leaves, from vision to reality. Join us, stand with us, help us build a hospital that will serve generations, moving healthcare into action. Visit q2ua.org today.
Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. The reason that I can say that is you have a couple of different factors occurring right now as we speak on the world stage. The dollar is being disrupted. Nations are no longer wanting to engage with the United States. But the third factor that affects each and every one of us is that there is a diaspora from the African continent that's willing and able to engage our brothers and sisters on the continent.
Shalom, Salama, Thiyemi, Shalom. Greetings to all of my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world, whether you're the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the house of Israel, or you're Gentile grafted in to the house under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. I welcome you this morning. Before I get into anything, I'm going to share this verse. Sometimes it applies. Some things it applies to all of us, especially in these days and times and literally hours. This is Psalms 13. Psalms 13. How long wilt thou forget me, O Yahuwah? Forever? How long wilt thou hide thy face from me? How long shall I take counsel in my soul, having sorrow in my heart daily? How long shall mine enemy be exalted over me? Consider and hear, O Yahuwah, my Elohim. Lighten my eyes, lest I sleep the sleep of death. And let mine enemies say, I have prevailed against him. And those that trouble me rejoice when I am moved. But I have trusted in thy mercy. My heart shall rejoice in thy salvation. I will sing unto Yahuwah because he hath dealt bountifully with me. Hallelujah. Sometimes, and seeing all of these things going on, which is for our benefit, it truly is. But we are still a spiritual being wearing a flesh suit. And we are still going through this last trial as a people. We're here and not just surviving what's happening. Although it does feel like that many a times. We have to remember that really we're watching one of the greatest shows on earth. And that's the Most High bringing his vengeance. This is a visitation of Yahuwah. And not to take that lightly, but there's going to be a lot of suffering and pain. And one of the things I heard from Pope Leo the other day, he said, we don't serve a God that is darkness. But understand, the Most High creates the light and the dark. There's the good and the evil, and it's all for his purpose. So when people say, it's all bad times and it's all this, but the God I serve isn't about bad times, actually, read Esdras. Yeah, first and second Esdras. They didn't want to put that in the Bible because it didn't serve the narrative that you're going to go through pain, struggle, everything that we do. We ask the Most High to bless the works of our hands. Because why? Because sometimes we think, is it going to be even worth it? Amazingly, that question was never a question to them folks. They would be at odds that their works weren't accomplished. Well, what did I do wrong? How do I need to fix it? Oh, they would go through some troubleshooting. They'll get their little cause and effect diagrams. They'll get their little fishbone diagrams. Okay, let's take a look. Let's chart this on out. Let's see. Let's get down to the root cause. There it is. Yep, there's how we fix it. There it is. Their Elohim was very gracious to them. Keyword was. Their Elohim allowed them to succeed in power. Their Elohim allowed them to operate to where they didn't have to forgive. They don't have to worry about forgiveness in their heart. Where is that Elohim going to judge them? Going to lead them on righteous paths? Where's that Elohim? There was none. And we kept telling them, you're serving a principality. You're not serving the Elohim, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You're serving Babylon, and she took on a new name. That's what she always does. But they wanted to act like what we were saying was just totally outside of the scope of reality. And now they have to understand that when the Most High said that this place was going to be judged by fire, this is going to be judged by fire. That's not going to happen. We have this, we have that. Nah, it's coming. It's coming. And it's coming sooner than what people can think or imagine. Sorry, I gotta go through these commercials and paywalls and everything else. Let me tell you what has happened over the last 24 hours. I told you all, this is getting so crazy. This is from the new voice of Ukraine. It's also in Reuters. You can check it on out. But Reuters is behind a paywall, so I don't really do much with that. But what I can show you is this. Projectile strikes Iran's Bashir nuclear power plant territory. A projectile struck the territory of Bashir nuclear power plant on the evening of March 17th. That was last night, probably like during the day. I believe Iran's at least 8 or 9 hours ahead. The International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, reported on March 18th no damage to the plant or casualties among the staff have been reported. The Iranian side informed the IAEA about the shelling of the plant's territory. The statement noted Agency Director General Rafael Grossi urged the parties to exercise maximum restraint during the conflict to prevent risk of a nuclear accident. Oh boy, surprise, surprise. Iranian media reported on March 17th that a projectile hit the territory of the nuclear power plant in the city of Bashir. The type of munition was not specified. According to the claims, the strike did not cause material or technical damage. Rosatom, the Russian company that built the plant, announced an explosion on the territory adjacent to the NPP's meteorological service building in close proximity of the operating power unit. Radiation levels around the station remained normal, Russia claimed. So, give me a one if you remember yesterday as I was wrapping up the live stream. Remember, I said, give me a one if you remember, I said, they're working towards the nuclear option. Give me a two if you don't remember that. I said they're building that up a couple days. If you remember that, give me a one. If you don't, give me a two. So the census in that short poll showed that yes, we are literally working towards, not we, but in general, the world is literally seeing the constructs towards a nuclear option. And now these nuclear targets that are unfolding is now creating the situation to where we will see a unnuclear are you and nuclear in terms of what is going on. Now, with the news and everything else becoming so sporadic and erratic, there have been a couple of different things going on. I'm just gonna share this in the chat for you all to see. This is Times of India. And Times of India, they have reported, this is Times of India, they have reported that they did go after the Negev research facility and the Dimona nuclear power plant in the settler colony. And yes, Minister Rick, there are black people in that area. The nuclear complex at Dimona. Yes, there are. Oh, yeah, they gave him that prime piece of real estate. Because right now, what we are witnessing, we're witnessing the escalation that brings the escalation that brings the escalation. And see, for them, it doesn't matter. For the U.S., it doesn't matter if nukes are used. But I have to always warn and cautious people that everyone that thinks that they are far away for something, that they can never be touched and all this other stuff, that they're sitting home pretty on the other side of the world in the United States. I think they truly forgot that less than 6 months ago, Russia did test that hypersonic missile that went some crazy, ungodly number. And they said that they had to bring it down and stop testing because it was in the air for more than 15 hours at hypersonic speeds. They basically said that the range was, quote, their quote, limitless. They're basically saying that their flight path just looked like scribbles everywhere as it kept moving the missile back and forth for more than 15 hours. Yes, it can cruise the whole world. So while we are looking here, sitting here, and not we, but really them, we know what this is going to lead to. I want to again caution, and this is a cautionary tale, that when you are running your mouth and saying all sorts of crazy things, especially taking out high-level top advisors, you may want to be careful. Just a smidget. Just a smidget. Ex-GOP honcho says Trump should drop a dozen nukes on Strait of Hormuz. Jennifer Bowers Banny, this is as of March 15th. Former House Speaker Newt Gingrich, Republican of Georgia, shared an explosive idea to reopen the Strait of Hormuz that has been essentially closed to shipping by Iranian attacks and mines. The narrow passageway is the conduit for up to 30% of the world's total oil consumption and 20% of global liquefied natural gas. Although he hasn't been seen in public since becoming Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei vowed in a written statement to use the lever of blocking the Strait of Hormuz to keep the enemy highly vulnerable. So this is kind of an old story. Coming down here. But Gingrich posted it would be much better to open the strait with a nuclear attack instead of fighting over a 21-mile wide bottleneck forever. Gingrich wrote, we cut a new channel through friendly territory. A dozen thermonuclear detonations, and you've got a waterway wider than the Panama Canal, deeper than the Suez, and safe from Iranian attacks. Okay. One of the things that I always have to ask, and do you know that you never get a straight answer? How deep does a nuclear disaster crater? How deep does it crater? That's just something to think about. I'm not a nuclear physicist or anything else. You know, one of the things that Russia has been saying, and some of the European countries, they've been saying nuclear war can be survivable unless you're in the blast radius. Now, the thing is, and I'm going to tell you this, the thing is, the reason why I say that is simply this. Whenever you do see when that nuclear weapon, that atomic weapon was utilized, I don't know. I've never seen a crater. I've seen a blast radius, but I've never seen a crater. And that's just, to me, has me thinking, because it's like, well, what would that crater look like if they have it impacting below the surface or at surface level? Do they know? Or they're just saying a lot of stuff? And I have the inclination just to say that we're in a time that everybody parrots. How do you know that it's true? Well, Somebody told me, and somebody told me, and somebody told me. I believe the experts. And then when you ask these simple critical questions, will that even work? How do you know? What did you see? Did you even see field testing? They don't give you all the parameters and specifications. Man, that stuff is top secret. That's TSSCI. It's not going anywhere. With some different special programs to that. You just know that they do nuclear weapons because of different arms treaties, but you don't know any other specifications to that. Oh yeah, well I had a scientist buddy of mine and a scientist buddy of mine. Okay. Channeled through friendly territory. Well, let me tell you, they're not looking at the US as much of friends anymore at all. Matter of fact, they're looking at the US very much as a liability. So when you try to be fair, you're going to have a little bit more dissenting voices so it can give you the illusion of fairness in the concept of media or what we believe to be fair and independent media, which that doesn't exist, but people may think it does. Okay. Just wait until the real censorship begins. It's fine now, but when things start to occur, especially near the mainland or in the vicinity or even in the mainland, did y'all know that there's been a couple of explosions at some oil refineries, even here in the United States? That was in addition to suspected um, mass shooting events last week. All right, so I put this article in the chat. This Emirati billionaire put a voice to Gulf anger over Trump's war in Iran. This is by Rachel Chasen 2 hours ago. Dubai. Khalaf Ahmad Al Habtour, 77-year-old billionaire, says his staff thinks he talks too much, sitting outside a cafe in Al Habtour City, the luxury waterfront complex in Dubai that is home to 3 of his 5-star hotels. He laughed a little and looked at his personal assistant sitting next to him. She nodded, offering something between a smile and a grimace. Al Habtour, an eccentric, outspoken businessman whose net worth Forbes puts at 2.3 billion, went viral the week before with a public letter that lambasted President Donald Trump for his dangerous decision to drag our region into war. Who gave you the authority to drag our region into a war with Iran? And on what basis did you make this dangerous decision? Al Habtor wrote in a lengthy post on X. Did you calculate the collateral damage before pulling the trigger? And did you consider that the first to suffer from this escalation will be countries of the region itself? The post ricocheted around the internet, racking up millions of views and thousands of shares, was featured on CNN, and earned Al Habtor praise across the world. Literally everyone in the Gulf is asking this question quietly. Middle East expert Andreas Krieg, an associate professor at King's College London School of Security Studies. Al-Habto's prose captured the frustration of an awkward and frightening inflection point for Persian Gulf nations that have built reputations of wealth and stability. Dragged into a conflict they sought to avoid, they are now trying to fend off drones and missile attacks by Iran, but are uncomfortable being too closely aligned with the settler nation or the United States. Publicly, officials in the largely repressive Gulf monarchies blame Iran. Privately, many rail against Washington for unleashing chaos, but see no other power able to provide the same security benefit. They're stuck. They're stuck, and they know that they're stuck. And they made, let's just call it what it is, they made the deal with the devil. And now they're mad. That they made the deal with the devil. Oh, it was nice. It was fine up until they had to pay. This is what that looked like. And now they're not liking the fact that they have to pay this thing back. And that payback, as you know, as we've now all been aware of in the course of these different things that have gone on with this administration's close tie-in with the amount of, let's just call it what it is, the wickedness. People think that wickedness is just going to fester in a on one occasion, and it's just this, it's just that. Look, I'm sorry, but as a people, where we were telling them they had a cookbook called Delectable Negro, we didn't make up that cookbook. That's not some pseudo history. No, they're trying to delete and erase history because why? Because they know that they're getting ready to go into a period of judgment, and they don't want to have all of their wickedness exposed. Oh man, y'all did this, y'all did that, y'all. It only became an issue when they realized that those cannibals were eating their own people. Wasn't that much of an issue when that was us. But when they started to eat their own, that's when it became an issue. And it's not that we don't have pity. It's just this. We always have to now ask ourselves, did you have pity? Did you have any pity for us when we were telling you what was happening? Did you? And the answer is no. No, no, they did not. No, they did not. And unfortunately, now they're going to be put in a position to where the whole world was supposed to pity the United States and help them with a problem that they created. And they said no. You're not putting that guilt trip on us. We're not black. They gave him that. My name is Bennett and I ain't in it. So the reality is the world turned its back because, again, by and large, black people are not supporting this. I saw a video by Willie D, and it showed purportedly one of our young brothers serving in the military, looked like the army, and he was over in an area near, and it looked like within Iran. I'm not sure about the video. I thought it was very interesting because, generally speaking, they wouldn't even allow any of that content to even be loaded or uploaded. And he was saying, look, he was done. Now, understand in a wartime environment, you can't just up and leave. You want to know why? Because in a wartime environment, go ahead and try and up and leave. That is called treason and sedition. And they can have a summarily court martial and execution. You can be killed on, excuse me, deleted on the spot. Not a good idea. Now, there has been certain cases where military folks, they don't like to tell you a lot about these because it doesn't really sound very good, but there have been actions to where folks have overtaken the commander and they've refused even lawful orders. Now, what ends up happening is they will seek a trial and things of that nature. They usually get a couple years at Leavenworth. It's usually not years, it's like a couple months, and then they'll get a bad conduct discharge. And yeah, these are primarily, folks not of our hue, by and large, of a lighter hue, I would like to say. Now, in terms of us, that is something historically we don't do. We'll tough it up, we'll survive it, and then we'll come home and we'll say, don't do it. We'll come back home and we'll report, don't do it. Don't bring your sons and daughters into this. Don't have them get drug into this. Now, understand this economy has been so bad that that's what they wanted. They had to kill off the economy so then they can funnel people into the military for this war. Yep, I also heard that too. I think they were alluding to that in the Evan prison a couple of days ago, but again, the U.S. will not announce that, of course, if they lost, their Delta Force, which is basically their Green Berets. If they lost any special operations forces, they won't. They won't say that. They won't say that. No one's quote unquote lost technically, but what they'll be doing is they will be planning personnel recovery, PR operations, personnel recovery, some direct assaults and personnel recovery. The problem is infiltration into the U.S. and by the U.S. into Iran. And let me tell you, um, whenever you go through orientation, and I think I can say this. I hope I'm allowed to say this. Maybe I'm allowed to say this. Let me bring this song back. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Let me share this before I share anything else. Okay. So, whenever you do anything with special operations or special operations command at any level, you go through an orientation. Everybody goes through an orientation. It's not bad. It's online. You know about the missions, what the missions are, how the missions go, and blah blah blah. You get a chance to know about all the special operations for each branch. I'm not even sure if they have a special operations branch for the Space Force. I kind of doubt it. They have the Air Force Special Operations Command that is actually over in. It had been. I think it still may be. I think that was over in the Panhandle. And then that hurricane came through and Michael really messed things up. You also have obviously USASOC, that's the Army Special Operations Command. You have MARSOC, you have SEALs, and Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force. You don't have any special operators for Coast Guard. Let me give you some history because I think a lot of folks, especially the commentators, you could tell that they have. I'm going to tell you this. I can tell when people actually haven't been at these levels There's a reason for it, and there's a reason why my content is shadow banned because when you give when you give truth, they're not gonna say, "Oh, this Negro is right." they're not. They're not gonna come on out here and just validate this. He's on to something. No, they'll just shadow ban the content and keep it moving. Let me go here. U.S. Army Airborne and Special Operations Museum. Yeah. Over in Fayetteville, Hunter Bragg Boulevard. I think that's right outside the base. Vietnam is what they used to call it. But I'll read from their site. They don't really have all the cooler graphics, but when you do your onboarding, your indoctrination, your onboarding. Yeah, I don't know if they have a special operations for Space Force just yet. And I can't really say anything about Space Force because, again, I got off of active duty in 2020. But let me just kind of bring you to this attention because this is one of the very first things that they show you. They have a little node and everything else, and they want to they have you even answer questions. What operation was there in Iraq? Once you print that off and then you give it to your S1 or your J1 or your G1, just depends. That's your admin folks. You tell them, "Oh, I've done the training." That's a very, very high level look at the mission, and then there's obviously it goes much echelons deeper. But here we go, because we're looking at around the same exact time frame. We're only off by just a month, but you got to remember they do everything in the same exact manner and format. So to kind of caveat off of what Brother Asaph was saying earlier in regards to what is being speculated as 173 Delta Force operatives, and that's what Iran has stated. And again, Iran has also stated that they're not in that deception game. They don't do what the West does. That came from Iran. That came from Araghchi, the foreign minister. This is according to the Special Operations U.S. Army Airborne and Special Operations Museum. Operation Eagle Claw. On April 24th, 1980, an ill-fated military operation to rescue the 66 American hostages held in Tehran ended with 8 U.S. servicemen dead, and no hostages rescued. To learn more about Operation Eagle Claw, continue reading below. Here we go. On November 4th, 1979, as many as 3,000 militant students stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, taking 63 American hostages. 3 additional members of the U.S. diplomatic staff were seized at the Iranian Foreign Ministry. The incident took place weeks after U.S. President Jimmy Carter had allowed the deposed Iranian ruler Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi into the United States for cancer treatment. Iran's new leader, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, called for the United States to return the Shah, as well as for the end of Western influence in Iran by mid-November. 13 hostages were freed by mid-November. So remember, they didn't keep black folks. They didn't keep us around. Well, let me continue. The remaining 53 hostages had waited out 5 months of failed negotiations by April of 1980. During this time, American military commanders refined a plan for a possible rescue mission and conducted training exercises to evaluate the troops and equipment that would be used in such an undertaking. President Carter approved a military rescue operation on April 16th, 1980. The plan utilized elements of all 4 branches of the U.S. Armed Services. The 2-day operation called for helicopters, C-130 aircraft, and rendezvous on a salt flat codenamed Desert One, some 200 miles southeast of Tehran. There, the helicopters would refuel from the C-130s and pick up combat troops. The helicopters would then transport troops to the mountain location from which the actual rescue mission would be launched the following night. On April 19th, forces were deployed throughout Oman and the Arabian Sea. Doesn't that sound familiar? The failed operation. On April 24th, 1980, Operation Eagle Claw began when 8 United States Navy RH-53D Sea Stallion helicopters took off from the deck on the American aircraft carrier, the USS Nimitz, in the Arabian Sea for a 600-mile trip to rendezvous in the Iranian desert with 6 C-130 transport aircrafts. The aircraft encountered a haboob. Those haboobs don't play. Those haboobs do not play. It's like towers of sand. You get hit with one, it's not fun. A violent wind-driven sandstorm common in desert. This caused extreme visibility issues, damage to the aircrafts, and sickness with the crews. President Carter and the staff received the news and decided to abort the mission. As the force prepared to depart, a RH-53D helicopter crashed into a C-130 carrying extra fuel for refueling, igniting a fire that killed 5 airmen and 3 Marines. And then the silver lining, that's when you actually had Joint Special Operations Command at Fort Bragg. Those are the folks that carry out the missions. And I won't say any more about that one. But a lot of this is what then launched your other components, because everything else was basically housed. All your special operations was basically housed within the Rangers, and which was Army, and your SEALs. So, Lou Blood, I'm actually, I tend to side with that statement. It says this time around, blacks will not be scared because they will be seen as traitors. Anybody fighting for the enemy is a target. I mean, yeah, potentially. Potentially. You could also say, um, I'm kind of leaning 50-50 on that comment. Because you could look at it that way. Or if you think about this, for black folks that are captured, are black servicemen and women that are captured, African American servicemen and women that are captured, I tend to think that they will be given a favorable treatment. And that's only because that garners favor in the political eyes with BRICS, especially since you have some sub-Saharan countries that are actively joining and participating in BRICS. So, because the influence isn't with the Europeans, the influence is with Africa. Hey, we spared your people, even though we know that your people are brainwashed. Just think about that particular story and engagement. And they wouldn't just transfer them to the US outright. They wouldn't. Because you want to know why? Because they would actually, I guarantee you this. You can call it what you want to call it. You can say how you want to say it. I guarantee you this. If they were to be transferred over to a Western proxy nation, they would be deleted between that time that they get over from Iran to quote unquote any type of US soil or base or things of that nature. Because imagine Iran doing something that's humane that the US doesn't even do for black people, especially at this time. Nope. So it would probably be enacted something like this. There would probably be a transfer to Russia. This is just me in my opinion. Just my opinion. So you can go along with this, chain of custody. Russia would probably say, okay, we have them here for safekeeping. And then probably in like a week or two, they would then go, they probably get transported, I'm going to say, to a West African nation, more than likely Burkina Faso. And then from there, they would probably end up in Accra in Ghana for the return to U.S. custody. No, we're not going to send you anywhere near Europe. That's where you're going to go because we don't want to hear anything. That's what Iran would say. We don't want to hear anything that you had died or this or that. Nope. That would be special handling, special care, and delivery. Trust me. And at every stage of the game, there would be an update via RT, Reuters, you name it. It's sad that I would say I would prefer that they would move that way. I have no stake in the game. But I would ask if I were one of those ones, please return our people via that way. Get them over to the sub-Saharan continent. We're not even talking. Don't even send them to Egypt. No. Don't even send them to Nigeria. No, I don't trust it. I'm sorry. Send them on over into Burkina Faso, and then from Burkina Faso, you transfer them right on over into Ghana and have them hang out in Ghana until they see the proof of life. Ghana's neutral. You go right to that embassy there. Hey, here's this, here's that, and you publicize that thing. So there'll be no doubt that our brother or sister that had been captured will have that proof of life chain of custody. And you also know what that would do. That would then destroy any type of narrative that, oh, well, they treated them so bad and they treated them. Also, what that does, it's actually an embarrassment. It's actually an embarrassment. Oh, man. They got treated that well. They got cared for that well. Because what are you going to do when that happens? China says it, or excuse me, not China, Russia says it, and then you hear from Burkina Faso, and then you hear from Ghana. That destroys any type of narrative. Now, what they'll also do is they'll come down on us even more. Oh, you Negroes don't think that you're special. Oh, that's exactly what they'll be fuming about. Fuming. Because as I had shown you all, as I like to come on out here and give and dissect just a little bit of this history, this is when, at a time in the 1980s, when Iran literally did not even have its act together This is 6 months into the the regime overthrow. That was 6 months into it. Less than. Now you have a regime that has been alive and well. Now, some 40 plus years later. But you also have to understand that for 40 plus years, they have been waiting for this moment. But if you don't understand the history, then you're not going to truly understand what they're going to do, tactically speaking. Because unfortunately, this is a one trick pony of sorts. So when they're bringing over the Marines to essentially try to do another Operation Iron Claw 2, per se, and again, we won't know who got captured. They could have captured dozens of U.S. personnel. Dozens. Remember, look, all of us remember how it was last week. I kid you not, this was last week. Oh, we're gonna go on in and we can have the Kurdistans and we can have this and that. And it was like, okay, we're gonna open up the gap, we're gonna open up the road, and y'all follow right in behind us. I guarantee you what ended up happening, more than likely, I guarantee you, it failed. And when it failed, then the Kurds are like, we're not doing this. We're pulling out. And they had to make a public admission. No, the United States has to fight their own wars. They got to fight their own battles. Because why? Because more than likely it failed. And more than likely you now have Iranian custody of some 170 plus troops. I can't verify that. I'm just giving you what that synopsis would look like based off of the very, very quick declaration that was done to disavow any activities that the Kurds were planning or getting ready to plan in Afghanistan. I kid you not. I'm not making this up. It's on the interview. You can see it. And do you not think that these Western nations, do you not think that they have the same intel? You better believe they have the intel. We need your help to open the Strait of Hormuz. No. We're not going to take some else like that, because if we don't, see, let me tell you the difference between the U.S. and Europe. Even though the U.S. would like to say that the Europes are Europeans and everything else, no, that's a projection, because honestly, the U.S. they're the peons. They are. You understand, they're gone when literally there was hardly any public outcry from when they realized that their people that own them eat people. They're the definition of serfdom. They're the definition of, they're the new chattel. They're the goyim. They're the chattel. I'm sorry. And they know that they're chattel, but what they don't want to do, they don't want to, quote unquote, fight without the support of black people. Get out of here. Uh, you gonna pay us those reparations? Sure, we'll fight. We'll fight for $10 quadrillion. Quadrillion. And if you talk crazy, that quad can turn into a sept real quick. You want us to fight? Hey, we'll fight for $10 quadrillion. Do the math, do the calculation. Yeah, I know every black person here would be a multi-billionaire, probably 1,000 times over. If you want us to fight that bad, consider the cost. They know that they're in a losing proposition. So you know what they're going to do? They're just going to go right to the slaughter. No, we won't. We won't do that. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, right. All of their quote unquote supremacist organizations are owned by the elite. All of their infrastructure that they have that gets them well funded and to have nice little toys and stupid trinkets, guess what? It's owned by the elite. Everything that they think that they could possibly do, they're not going to just generically get billions of dollars to do whatever they're going to do. It's all owned by the elite. Oh, now you know what they're feeling like? Oh, here we go. You know what they're feeling like? They're feeling like they're black people. Welcome. Welcome. Now that you realize that all the people that you thought was going to help you, all of your organizations that you thought was going to bring about this utopia have all been sellouts. Welcome to your penal colony. Welcome to your prison. Oh, do you know that their prison isn't going to be as nice as our prison? Y'all realize that, right? When it's all said and done and we leave and they stay, they're going to realize that their penal colony experience isn't going to be as nice as theirs or as ours was. Now they're going to have 30 billion drones. Isn't that what Elon said? Drones for what? Because why? Because they're all going to be under the metal thumb. Don't go here. Don't walk there. If you want to have extra privileges. Yeah. Chattel. Yeah, I know, Brother Garth. I'm going real deep into this. Unfortunately, I have to go deep into this because, the reality is, as we're seeing all this stuff going down, when people say, how long do we have? I don't know. That's a great question. But let me tell you, when they're the ones that's reacting, and all they can do, I'm telling you, all they can do is the exact same script. And I laugh Because I'm telling you, I'm showing you Operation Eagle Claw, and it's going to be the exact same script. Oh, but we could do it better this time. We could do this, and now that we have all of these other um uh uh, uh what do they call it, branch operators. We now have MARSOC. We now have our Raiders. We now have AFSOC. We have our Air Force folks. We now have our with the SEALs, with the Rangers, so we can deconflict at every single level. Yeah, I don't know if they really understand this. There's not going to be a midterm. I'm sorry to bust these people's bubble. They're looking at their nation disintegrating before their own eyes. I laugh because there is a story. I don't know where this actually came out of. WKRN News. I don't know where that's out of. But they gave a clip. And this is classic media disinformation at its finest. And they say about 90 ships crossed the Strait of Hormuz. Oh, that's great. The Strait of Hormuz is open. Oh, that's very disingenuous. No, the Strait of Hormuz is still closed for the West. And it's open for those that have paid the fare in yuan. But what they needed to say was Strait of Hormuz was open for those folks that are negotiating with Iran. That's now negotiating outside of the USD. When you are negotiating or doing anything outside the USD, you already know that that's already also a national security. That's on a memo. Anything outside of USD, that's a national security threat. Hallelujah. Zoom to your doom. There you go. Use is free. Zoom to your doom. He done made it. Use is free. And yes, Iran says will only allow ships who pay in yuan to pass through the Straits of Hormuz. Does anybody have a yuan bank account? I need that yuan paper. Cash rules to everything around me. Spring, get the money. Yuan bill, y'all. More yuan that. Give me the yuan. Give me the yuan. Are you on up on this? You don't even know. You better be you on up on this. Don't be dollar down. You better you on up. Because these are yuan chaser. They got the black on fire. You know what it is. Sure. Go to Bank of America or Wells Fargo on Chase and be like, I need to open a yuan account. They're gonna be looking at you all crazy. That's gonna be the new rap song. Those are gonna be the new rap songs. I got the yuan bag. Oh yeah, no, that is a direct look. That's it. A $1 equals 6.89 Chinese yuan. You want some mess. You on up and did it. Oh my goodness. The petrodollar is what the guy said. The petrodollar is dead and you don't even know it. You ain't even know it. Man, put that on the beat. You on. What you want? I'm on the you on. What you want? I'm on the you on. Bust it on the beat. I don't know if you knew. That's the only way them ships getting through. I'm gonna keep my ship straight. Got that yuan, no time for debate. You on. Oh. Oh my goodness. Well, that's what's happening. So are we going to see a repeat in history? Yeah, probably. I'm going to say probably. And now the numbers are getting. I'm sorry. Sorry. Oh, I I don't know if I'm going to get. Oh my goodness. Let me put this one out here. This is from the New York Times Magazine. American TikTok users are fantasizing about being Chinese. Man, do you know how many things I could go with this? Do y'all know? I am the last dragon. Do you think that Bruce Leroy and Show Nuff was prophetic? You have been looking for the master when you were the master this whole time. I am the last dragon. No! American TikTok users are fantasizing about being Chinese. I was like, fried chicken wings with the man, you can't make this up. Let's get into this. I'm sorry, we gotta get into the story. While China Maxing users seem to be processing anxieties about the decline of their own country. Here we go. Is that if you're reading this, you're Chinese. Or so says a genre of online content which delivers instructions to the newly initiated. You should wear slippers and practice Qigong, Leia Zinjin on your pillow to sleep and exclusively drink warm water. Ideally steeped with apples, jujubes, goji berries. Since the phrase took off last year, many Westerners have claimed they are in a very Chinese time in their lives, taking to social media to evangelize about their newfound xenophilia. They're not only curious, but also focused on finer details. Should they peel their apples, for example, or even use pears instead? Oh, it's funny, but it's not that funny, but it is funny. They don't want to be American anymore. China's soft power has defeated American soft power. This is it. What is that, Brother Asaph? Brother Asaph, you need to jump on. I got the link in there. You need to jump on because this is something that jump on, Brother Asaph, because it's time to promote your book. This is it. Maybe I'll turn my camera on and bring that book out here. But I'm just gonna say, outside. Oh, can I be ignorant, family? Can I be ignorant? Please, can I be ignorant? Before I'm ignorant, before I, they say the Most High is good that He has been allowing me to uh to take pauses and to breathe before I get real ignorant. Because I may say some things that may come across a little offensive. But I just want you all to know. I say these things in love. I say these things because we have to ask these serious questions. So before I come in, let me just give you my Cash App and my PayPal and Zelle. So we Chinese, master. I Chinese too, master. We Chinese. I Chinese. You're not Chinese. I Chinese with you. I am Chinese too, master. I go to the temple too, master. Hold on, Chad. You are not Chinese. Just because you see a lot of Asian movies, you are not Chinese. I watch Bruce Lee. Oh my God! I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I know that these white folks, these I'm gonna assume Caucasian folks are saying this, but it's still going to take time for them to fully adopt the culture because when that dog meat festival comes around, I don't know what they're going to do or say. Oh yeah, I did have a dog, but I adopted a Chinese lifestyle and I celebrated my first dog meat festival.
Brother Karras, you need prayer. I've never seen someone mock the Europeans like that.
Whatever happened to your dog? Oh, yeah.
Shalom, family.
Oh, shalom, brother Asaph. Oh,
Well, things are happening so fast. You know, I've written 7 books and released 3, and I spent over 25 years working on these books and just updated them. And it's like things are happening so fast that I don't know which one to send to the publishers now to release, because I've got The Century of the Dragon, which is completed, which talks about China. And I've got another one, The Unraveling of the US Dollar, which I'm contemplating now releasing instead of the Dragon Century first, because of how things are moving so quick with the US dollar. And in it, I've spoken about how Russia has lost 300 billion at a keystroke, and that means that our personal savings are not safe because of that. And secondly, if things, if the political situation became unstable worldwide, that there might be a 2-track currency system coming into play, which will further erode the dollar, which we're seeing at the moment. The yuan is doing it. So I think that one is going to be coming out soon before it goes out of date. Because we don't, things are happening so quick. As soon as we call it, it happens. You know, and China's rising in dominance because of their, when I say soft power, I mean the influence, their media. They're ahead of us with AI, you know, which I covered in the Masters of the Universe, from muskets to AI, the decline of Western hegemony. That book is on Amazon at the moment. You know, things are moving so fast that we can't really keep up with it. As the news cycle is every half an hour. Would you not agree, Elder Karras, that it's every half an hour now?
The news cycle is every 10 minutes. It is literally every 10 minutes. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's ridiculous.
I'm sorry. Minister Rick. Minister. Oh, that's what I was trying to get out, Minister Rick. He said that. He said.
Let me just have a look at the chat.
He said some folks will eat people before they eat dogs. Ain't that the truth? Oh my goodness.
I tell you, all you guys in there just needs prayer, because you're just making fun of a situation that these people have found themselves in, and they're in a bind at the moment because they're exposed for cannibalism. When they used to point to the people of Papua New Guinea and everybody else, they were doing the same thing, and all these things have been exposed. And the reason why your president is in the same situation is because they got the goods on him, the same as how they had the goods on President Roosevelt to establish that Eastern Mediterranean colony over there, which they think is a which they think that would benefit them as a proxy to stabilize the situation in that region. But it's become a major destabilizer because they want to superimpose prophecy on themselves that doesn't belong to them. And secondly, that places in the wrong geographical location, because whenever we read the Bible, it talks about the mountains of Israel, and there ain't no mountains there, bro.
Oh,
You
I
know,
know.
there ain't no mountains there. So we've all been hoodwinked, we've been conned, we've been scammed, right? We've been brainwashed. And now that we found out that we've been brainwashed, right? And the populace, the European populace, are finding out that they've been hoodwinked as well, because they don't have the qualities of the people, and they're exuding qualities which makes them look more like the Vikings and the Romans and the Normans and everybody else. People are starting to ask questions, and that's the reason why you guys are making fun. But the thing is, it's going to get more and more difficult for us, because we're at a stage now where we are showing, both from the book and both from what we do, that we are the people, and everything that we're calling is coming out in the next half an hour, 10 minutes. It's rolling
Yeah,
out.
it is. It is. And you know, we're to go back to this. This is 2 hours ago. This is posted. This is the video on Times of India. I just didn't want to go through all of it, but let me show this for our folks. This is the IRGC attacking Dimona and Negev. So this is the alleged attack. So here we go. Times of
Iran
India.
allegedly targeted Dimona and Negev Nuclear Research Center as a tit-for-tat to an earlier attack near Bushehr nuclear power plant. The claim was made by pro-IRGC accounts after a projectile targeted an area near Iran's Bushehr nuclear power plant. However, it caused no damage or injuries, Iran told the International Atomic Energy Agency. The IAEA has been informed by Iran that.
So we covered that earlier, and you know what this is doing. So with the accuracy and everything else that's working with the Iranians, and it is working with the accuracy, this is Russia. And I would say this. I'm not too convinced that it's Russia, right? Russia's given intelligence. Russia's given this and that. Because at the end of the day, in my opinion, this isn't Russia. At the end of the day, in my opinion, this is China supporting both Russia and Iran.
The Chinese are long-term strategists, and they're quite vengeful as well. And if you remember, they went through a century of humiliation.
Yep.
And they don't take things lightly. These kung fu flicks that we used to watch, where someone's family got killed and the guy went and learned kung fu and came back for revenge. That is their culture.
Yep.
It is their culture. And they're not going to allow the West to humiliate them like that, because all the people that they got hooked on the gear that they used to send to China, if you understand what I mean, I've got to be careful because this is Brother Karris's channel. They had to unalive them because they couldn't cure them at that time. Yeah. And they haven't forgotten that. And they feel, to lose 60 million people like that, because of unprescribed medication is quite harsh. And they haven't forgotten the humiliation by the Japanese and by the Europeans. And as a result of that, they are going to make it quite difficult for our European friends.
Well, they are, and Europe is now caught in the crosshairs. Congratulations.
would you have ever thought that Europe is now in the crosshairs? So this is very interesting to see all of this going
Being
on.
caught in the crosshairs is an understatement, because
Mhm.
if they felt that the COVID issue with economically was quite pressing and hard for homes, the current oil crisis that we are having will be 10 times worse than the oil crisis between 1971 and 1973, because they cannot go behind the scenes and do any secret deals now, because they have betrayed the Arabs. Because, and also the Arabs have seen that they haven't got the technology to protect themselves from the Iranians and from anybody else. So what they're going to do, they're going to cut a deal with the Chinese, and the Chinese are going to come in and they're going to replace the United States and Europe is going to find itself more and more marginalized. And I
Yep.
think from a military standpoint, Karras is a genius on this situation, but I'm just looking at it from a geopolitical standpoint, because I never studied geopolitics to a very high level, but I started becoming interested in it from a long while ago. And at present, these publications that I'm doing is just a foothold to see if I will get a Doctor of Letters, which is much better than my doctoral degree, PhD degree in the European system, so that we can establish our own university on the continent. And I want to play a part of that, so that we can educate our people properly in the sciences and humanities, and we can turn out our own graduates who are not brainwashed in the European system. But but switching back to the situation now, is that the picture is not looking good, and it's going to become worse and worse. But we must pray to Yahuwah to provide us with our own Goshen whilst the West is collapsing, because it's not going to be a very quick implosion to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
But at the moment, they're looking like a person who has tuberculosis or a terminal disease, and they haven't got very long to live.
You know, turning my attention, and I'm by no way a genius. I just know a little bit more than the average bear, I guess. Uh,
You're nearly a doctor of business administration, bro. That's one of the toughest degrees out there.
yeah, I know. Please pray for me as I finish that on up. But I have to give it to the UK. The UK reports, and I think that's so understand what's going to happen now. You're trying, so the Europe is trying to continue to maintain a balance of trustworthiness, even though they're not trustworthy. They're still trying to maintain that balance. This balance is going to start to infuriate DC. It is, because again, if you've noticed, especially earlier this week, and last week, they don't want reporting like this. Iranian missile hits military base housing UK, US, and Australian troops. An Iranian missile has hit the Al Manad air base in the United Arab Emirates, UAE, which is home to US, UK, and Australian troops. New attacks were reported in multiple Gulf countries early today, including Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said a projectile caused a small fire at its base in the UAE near Dubai, but caused no injuries. It hasn't been confirmed if the attack was targeting the base, but Albanese added the Iranian regime is engaging in random attacks across the region. We know that is the case. No, they're not. No, they're not. And until these nations, I'm sorry, but they're going to continue to get messed up because they want to continue to lie. And the question is going to be to this: how long will they lie? This is why this war is not going to end very well, because it is literally a war to where I'm sorry, this is a war to where you're literally seeing a nation, a people, a world that is brain dead, that is so spiritually, psychologically, emotionally brain dead, they can't even understand it because they've been given over to wickedness. This is what wickedness looks like in its truest form. Sorry, this is what our ancestors did. We're now living that, and we're now seeing the direct results. The wicked are going to continue to do wickedness. No, these aren't random attacks. These are attacks that aren't hitting hospitals and schools. These are attacks that are actually hitting military targets. Keyword: military targets. Instead of base, right? Who do you have on the base? U.S.
That's correct. And also tell our audience how much it is affecting the price of properties in that region.
Oh, yeah. Properties are now down over 30%. That's why the Al Abtur property owner, the billionaire worth $2.3 billion. Well, take a third of that. He ain't worth $2.3 billion right now, since his properties are taking a hit. We have one of our listeners in here was able to flee. He fled. He fled from Dubai to Nairobi. What did Yakoba say? You gonna flee? These nations have to come through here, and literally they're gonna get it. But we told them this is what was gonna happen. Don't come see us. Don't talk to us. Unless you have gold and silver in your hand. Because we can't even trust your dollar. We can't trust your currency. Your currency is being devalued right now as we speak.
It's amazing because it mirrors Rome. If you remember how the Roman currency was completely devalued until the Roman soldiers destroyed the temple to see if there was any gold buried under the temple, and also in people's houses, they were splitting Hebrews open to see if there were gold in their stomach and stuff like that. That's why the massacre was so bad in 70 AD. You know, this mirrors that almost 100%.
Here's this, and I don't know if this was something. I'm going to share this. They didn't want to say anything about this. This was as of March 13th. Breaking: suspected IRGC attack at La Porte near Pasadena, Texas. United States with reports that 2 fuel tankers are on fire. They might have used Mexican narco terrorists to do this. It might have also been done by the IRGC hackers remotely. So they're asking, the FBI to investigate this. But This is not in the Middle East. This is right here in the US of A. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Stuff like that will never be reported. It'll never be reported. Why is that? Because, again, in this particular context, the worst thing that they can do is lose faith. Because, again, it'll come to a point in time where you'll have the onesies, twosies, lone wolves. I had stated about insurgencies and things of that nature. They know how insurgencies are done. But I'm going to tell you this. In my opinion, just my opinion, this is a people, this is a nation that it's like, wow. You ever see a people that's, man, y'all are going to go into captivity. I see that here with them all the time. And all I could do is just sit there and just be astonished because, to be quite honest, they can't see it. But I also look at this, I look at the fact that this was something that our forefathers, our ancestors, had gone through this exactly. So if you can't recognize what the Most High is putting in front of us, He's showing you them because they're showing you who our people used to be. And now all of this, all these calamities, they're happening on them. Now, one of the biggest also spiritual reasons is this. If they honestly saw what was going on, then that may give them the impetus. Just saying this, it may give them the impetus. Not saying it's correct, but it may cause them to have some sort of a repentance. See, the reality is this: they're never going to repent. When you read Jonah, go ahead, read Jonah. When you look at Jonah, Jonah said he did not want to go to Nineveh. But when he did, what ended up happening? When the king heard the truth, what ended up happening? And this is not going to happen in this case. From the least to the greatest, they all repented. They did what? They wore sackcloth and ash. They repented. They had an act of repentance. That's not going to happen here because, remember, you're now living in a nation where the leader literally said that he never does anything wrong.
Personally, I put in the chat that if they repented, I'd cry like how Jonah cried when the Ninevians repented, because these people have gone too far for repentance, and it's not in their DNA to repent anyway, because they feel that they haven't done any wrong, and they should not repent for the sins of their ancestors, like how we have repented for the sins of our ancestors and asked Yah to have mercy on us. Because at times when I pray, I say, Father, I should have been killed for what happened, but thank you for your mercy.
Yeah. Understand that's how we were brought into this captivity. And now we're seeing this because now in this state, we may laugh, we may joke, but the reality is they're going through the same motions that we went through. And now at the end of the day, it's literally, it's not a case of if. If they go into captivity, no, this is when they go into captivity. When that happens, we don't know if it's going to be 3 days, 3 months, 3 years. We don't know. But I'm telling you, everything is moving so quickly because, again, you got to remember this nation was already devastated with the vid. This nation was already devastated with the currency, especially with their AI revolution. This nation was already messed up. War was not going to solve this. They may have thought that it would solve that in the long or in the short term, but the problem is in the short term, you got to clock some wins. They haven't won on anything. They were trying to talk about it. We won, but it's not fair. What's not fair? What'd you think war was? War is fun. Oh, it's not fun when you're losing, huh? I need every other nation to help. They're not going to back you. It's just the madness is really frightening, to say the least. The madness is frightening. And it really does feel like those school children back in the day. Like, man, does this dude listen to themselves? And those are the crazy kids. Oh, people only like him because he's got money. This is a brutal reality that they're facing. Because I know most of our people and people liked us. And guess what? People liked us. And for most of us, we didn't have money. We were liked because we actually had a genuine personality that actually cared for people's feelings. We knew how to empathize and sympathize with people. The only reason we're like this right now is because, really, quite simply, most of us have been rejected by them because they were getting scared that they were losing power. And now they've lost power. It's not, oh, if they, no, they've lost power. They're literally operating in a shell. They're a shell of what they used to be. And because they've lost power, they're trying to find out who can help them. Who's going to stay? Nobody really helped you. Nobody actually cared about you. They only liked you because they could get something from you. And now, just as the word says, You can read Jeremiah 50 and 51. You can read Isaiah 60 through 66. You can read all the chapters. Obadiah, their skirt, their hem has been lifted. Have you noticed everything about the micro P? All of a sudden, you can't make this up. You can't make this up. Like, yo, this is out here. And I had to laugh like they don't even realize they're actually quoting scripture. And now at the end of the day, we're just hanging out in the background. Nope, you can't grab us. Nope. We're over here. We done told you. They're trying to find some blank mans. And unfortunately, there's no Black Panther over here. We're all Killmongers. By the power of the Black Panther, we will go ahead and save America. No, 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 that no, 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 no. How much money you got? Well, you know, I got a couple dollars. This dude in the White House went in and literally destroyed everything single-handedly. Is that not Yah? Go ahead, brother Ace.
They elected a Pennsylvania graduate who was 398th out of 400 students in an economics class who boast about being in the top. And that could turn out to be counterfactual. I'm being quite generous in the word that I use. And he has tied into the rhetoric and the belief system that a lot of Europeans have. Over here, up until the beginning of the war, he had a 73% support in the policies that he was executing over there in America. And we became quite fearful for our people who weren't born here and those who were born here, because we remember the Windrush situation where they just made a bunch of British citizens illegal immigrants and started shipping them back to Jamaica and other Caribbean countries. And some of them died because of the lack of medical attention and losing their pension and their housing. Mm-hmm. And up to now, it's not rectified yet. So all these things, you know, are on their account and our account over here, and they have to pay for it. So I'm looking forward to what President Mahama has to say on the 25th of March.
Yeah,
I know it's not going to go down well with our captors, because he's stating that they have to pay us reparations. And also most of the African countries want us back, and they're not joking at the moment, because Botswana is asking the Americans to
come
leave.
on. Yes.
And it's going to spread like how the common flu spreads, and we're going to want them out. So even those Eastern Mediterranean people that are relocating to Uganda and relocating to South Africa, they're just building up the place for us to return to, because they'll be building houses, building communities, and they will be unable to stay because the climate now in Africa's changed. And one of the things that was a catalyst, even though it was a few months ago, was when iShowSpeed started to show all these African towns and places and buildings that were more sophisticated than European buildings. So when they sing "In the Eyes of an Angel Far Away," they were lying.
Mm-hmm.
They were lying.
And the eyes of an
Oh,
angel,
angel.
and showing like the flies and
And the
the
kwashiorkor
descendant
and all that
bellies.
kind of stuff. Those,
Oh my
those
goodness!
agencies don't go in to help. They go in like how the missionaries went in before slavery started to undermine.
They go in to act like they're doing something, and then they're like, "Well, where's that land over there? What do you have over there? Can I get that?" And then that's where they go in and they take over. They go in and they
Exactly.
take over and they take their resources and they don't give them anything. They don't even give them not even a percentage. You realize that they just gave them a percentage of the resources that they've taken. Do you know how rich they would have been just off of a percentage? Like it's that horrible.
And that's why they feel the pain when they got kicked out of the Sahel.
Yes.
Because all of them that they made there, they took the resources and then taxed the people on top of it. And now that France has lost that gravy train, they can't pay the pensioners or future pensioners, and they can't pay for their health care. They can't even run their electricity properly. And now they're trying to negotiate a new partnership with the Sahel. And the Sahel leaders are saying, no, we're not interested in hearing what you have to say. But once Nigeria goes, Uganda goes, and Kenya goes, that will be the end of Europe and the gravy train that they've been on for quite a while. And also Cameroon as well is in there because they've got a guy there that's barely alive. That's a president of that.
over there.
Yeah,
Cameroon,
yeah, that's barely alive. That's a president. But they're waking up because they have been listening to what we're saying, and there have been some brilliant content creators coming up in East Africa and West Africa. You know, some of them have so much insight that you wonder where they get all this knowledge from. And also they have been listening to us in the diaspora, what we're saying, and they realize that if they take control of their resources, which these spiritual and material vampires have been living off, they will be in the lead, because these people have been in power through military and through coercion and through religion. And once you remove that, also their fiat currencies as well. Once you stop doing business with them, if you don't want to have nothing to do with them anymore, that's where they start to lose their power. And it's happening here. We don't really want to have anything to do with them much anymore. And also in the United States, where you are, we have never been on code like this in history. Never in a long time since we left that continent have we ever been on code like this. Because when I see Caris, when I see my brothers from the continent, I'm not seeing an American, I'm not seeing an African, I'm seeing an Israelite. And this is why they see our movement as an existential threat, because they think it's a political separatist movement, when in fact we're congealing as the children of Israel under the banner of Yahuwah.
Oh yeah, exactly. There's no centralized organization, right? That's always what they want. Who's your leader? Yahusha is. What does that mean? That means you can take it as how you want it to mean. Guess what? Prophecy is going to be fulfilled. They can't stand against it. So it confounds them, because remember, they just made up their own prophecy. They made up all of their own straw man and failed doctrines that's not working. Their doctrines are demons is literally taking them out, and they're going to hold on to that until the very end. And we're seeing that. No, we're not going to stick. And this is what our people are doing. We're refusing we're refusing to go back to the idiocracy, right? And these folks are literally looking like not sure. What are you gonna do in the Strait of Hormuz? President Trump, not sure. Not Brando. Where the stock market is doing the greatest. What are you gonna do about oil? Brando.
And the problem that they have with the Straits of Hormuz as well is that it's got a very high level of salinity. There's only a finite time that those ships can hang out in that region. They have to return home to be painted and repaired, and so on. So
a lot of salt is over in the Persian Gulf. A lot of salt.
So Father Time is not with them as well.
Yeah, it's corrosive, and think about it. Think about the amount of ships that would have to continue to dock, and you're paying port fees. Oh, that gets expensive. That's why they're sitting on out there in the Gulf, man. I wish I had a picture of that. I think I only had one picture. I wish I would have taken some video, because back in the day, over in Qatar, there's an island. That island actually did get attacked. I was there on that island. It was a major oil transfer. But when you go to the island, they had us on the fast boats, and on there, we're literally traversing to that island. The island was about an hour and a half away. It was an hour and a half. It was a good, like, almost 40, 50. They said miles, and I don't doubt it. So that was very bumpy. I didn't really want to take out my phone or camera, because then, you just hit that right bump, that right wave, that phone was gone. So, but it was just every couple hundred yards off, you see boats just kind of sitting there, and now with these boats, there's probably now, definitely there's hundreds of them. They're sitting over near Qatar, Doha, Manama, Jebel Ali in Dubai, and in other places, because if they need to go and grab something and this and that, look, they're not designed to be out there this long. Let me tell you this. Now we're at literally day 19. Even with what they transit, it doesn't take 19 days to get from their ports to ports anywhere in the world. And before I go, JSBS, thank you for the gift. Sister Minnie, thank you for the gift. Hallelujah. And brother Mr. Mark Jean 58, thank you for the gift. Hallelujah. What ends up happening is these port fees, well, you're not getting a lot of infrastructure, because again, everything gets imported in. I know this is hard to imagine. Everything gets imported in. If Iran really wanted to mess them on up, Iran could literally go after the roads and the infrastructure in either definitely Saudi Arabia. They could go after roads and infrastructure. Oh, y'all are getting kicked out of the chat. I must have said something. YouTube's found us. People are getting kicked out. Sorry, family. That's what YouTube does sometimes. They will start to kick you on out. I have about another 30, 40 minutes. So if you can make your way on back here. Yeah, YouTube likes to play games. Thank you for coming back. So that's why you need
And
to
thank
like,
you all
share,
for
hype up. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
and thank you all for donating to Covenant Awakenings, presented by our elder Karis, the fount of knowledge. He's doing an amazing job, and we all need to support him really and hold him up in prayer, because what he's doing is not easy, and he's not only putting himself on the line because of his past career, but he's putting his health on the line because of the amount of work that he's doing. Sometimes I'm very concerned about it, but Yah knows that if my health was a bit better, that I would be out there with him as well. But we just have to hold him up in prayer, and you all keep holding on, because I'm hoping that if Yah spares my life, we'll all meet as one family in the wilderness very soon. But I think Brother Yakoba knows the date, but he's not telling us anything.
Yeah. Jacobus. Look, I can't confirm nor deny May. No, I'm just messing with you. let me not say that. Now you look. I just asked Jacob. I said, just give me a little bit of a hint, just so I can put this on Poly Market on when are the Negroes going to exit the United States? You know? Oh my goodness. No. Look, some of those things, like and trust me, we have those conversations in the background regarding things like that. And I have my time. I do have a time frame. I'm not going to share it, but I do have a time frame.
I'll tell you, that brother is a modern day Moses. He only needs the miracles now. You know, I would be looking at him like well, above royalty, because I come from my family. I'm married into the Ashanti royal family, but I don't really take that very seriously. But Yakoba's up there for me with one of those old time prophets. You know, he's called everything, both him and his brother, 100% correctly. I don't know how he does it, you know, but I think he's got a red telephone to the Shemaim, and I think he's got an idea when we're going to be out of here, but he won't confirm and he won't deny it either.
Mm-hmm. Let me just say thank you to the chat. You all are gonna have to like and share and hype this on up, because what is actually happening right now. It looks like YouTube is kicking people out like left and right. It is crazy. That's not me. That's YouTube.
We
So
touched a sore nerve with them.
what's up?
We touched a very sore nerve with them.
Yeah, I'm sure we have. I'm sure that there are some trigger words on in here. But the reality is that we haven't said anything controversial. We haven't, and even when you look at these other live streams and stuff like that, nothing we say is of a controversial nature, right? These are the articles that we're touching on because, again, this is a cultural phenomenon that's taken place culturally. This is them. They are seeing this. They're the ones that's experiencing this. We didn't start the war. We didn't start this conflict. I guarantee you what it probably was is because I said something about with with the DT situation and equating that to not sure. Oh snap! Hey, the algorithm. You know that listen. The Sentinel Neo heard the sarcasm, and that sarcasm was not liked on the algorithm. I'm about to start playing the that clip from. I'm about to start playing that clip from the Matrix. They're hearing us on on the Zion Underground Network. Oh, here comes troublemaker number 2. Sister Chantel, what is going on? Shalom.
Shalom. How do I sound today?
You sound a lot better. Oh my goodness.
I don't have my headphones in, by the way. It's just,
Your
You sound really
frequency,
clear. Fantastic.
your frequency is getting through the matrix.
sorry I'm late. Shalom to everyone in the chat. I came on here really. I don't know if you heard Uncle Asaf about the women, black. I think it was 5 black women that were found drowned over here.
Where?
No, I haven't heard because I'm at home sticking up my foot recovering from surgery, and I haven't actually looked at the news to see that. But if it's like that would be shocking. You know, we're having a similar to situation to the KKK over here.
Yeah. So it's like, I'm like, please, Father, just put up a hedge of protection around your people, because I'm so sick and tired of this. They've been doing this and the thing is about, like I've said before, we are only just discovering that they do this here. I mean, we've known that that the hatred is real, obviously. Cough. But it's like when you go back and you hear what our parents and our grandparents went through, and then you hear about some of the things that was happening in, like, between the 70s and even down to the early 2000s, even still now. I mean, we know about these things now, but simply because of the fact that we have social media. But for the most part, it's like, sorry, just give me a second.
So,
Brother Karras, I checked the
yes.
BBC website earlier today, and
Sorry about that.
All it had was just mentions of the meningitis plague over here, and nothing about those women. So I'm quite surprised, Sister Chantel, that you came up with this. It is very, very shocking and perturbing indeed.
Well, it was my mum that told me. I didn't even know. My mum told me this morning. I've got the link, but I need to try and find it. I haven't. I said to her, I don't want to look at it. I don't want to. I don't want to see it. I don't. I can't. Whether it's here or whether it's over in you guys' neck of the woods, I'm so tired of hearing about how these people constantly keep. It's like, just leave us. I'm trying not to curse. I'm really trying, but just leave us alone. Why are you so hateful? Why do you? I'm tired of it.
You know the reason why they've kept it quiet. If it was public knowledge, the Hebrews over here would come out and it would be war on the streets.
It would. We don't play them games either.
Yeah, in the UK, y'all are built a little differently. Y'all are built a little differently, but again, even here, I am looking at the prospects that right now, for us, especially black folks, look, we are doing everything in our power to buy anything that's black. That's it. We don't have we can't play games anymore. Okay, this economy that's here is garbage. So no, we're actually sick and tired of enabling them. Look, in their power, what they did was destroy the economy. And you know what? That's great, because honestly, I believe when we're able to order these products through Amazon or eBay, and it's of our own people that are on out here promoting their goods, their services, I think that that's better. And now it's the time that we've now had to come to that realization that, look, this is now survival. I don't know what to tell you. This is now survival. And someone had said this. Someone had said this. And this isn't here's the greatest thing about this. It's our younger generation. This is our younger generation. They said this. I don't know where this quote had come from, but this stuck with me. They said, 20, if I see 20 or more, I'm heading for the door. And and people say, well, that's kind of racist. Honestly, no, it's not. And the reason being is because even with what the FBI has stated with the terrorism and all this other terrorist events, and this is a great segue, by the way, the reality is that they made themselves a lot less safe. So I used to I've always had that thought process when I've been around and in the midst, and I'm like, oh, that's me. I'd get my stuff and head on out as quickly as possible. And it's not because, I just, I'm this and that. No, it's because I've also understood that they are going through some things. And when they have grouped up and they feel safe in their group numbers, then they try to have that one person. It's always that one person that will say something real grimy and all sorts of stuff. I get that all the time. I live here in Florida. I get that all the time. I don't need to say, oh, were you talking to me? I just act like they're nobody and I keep going out about my business. Because at the end of the day, if I'm wasting my time on ignorance, then I'm wasting my time on ignorance. I'm just as ignorant. The only thing that they could do now is try to get a rise out of us because they're now seeing the calamity that they have. There was a town hall meeting the other day. And I'm not sure when this footage was taken, but I think I may have seen it on like Afro Think Tank or one of these other ones. But they were talking about these MAGA farmers. And in that meeting, there was this Caucasian lady, and she said, yeah, I have customers and I have clients. She said, and 5 of them have self-deleted. Self-deleted. That's what we're not even talking about that. Do you all realize that less than a month ago, you had somebody drive from Mecklenburg or Charlotte area down to West Palm Beach? That's at least almost a 10-hour drive at the very least. And he self-deleted over in West Palm Beach. That was quickly covered up. These are acts of despair. And now this is why Trump had to say, remember I was telling you, I said, look, Trump has to say that we're winning. He had to say it. Because the moment that he concedes it, he also realizes that that's the moment that they go into despair. That could literally be hundreds, if not thousands of people that's literally pulling the trigger on themselves here in the U.S.
Repeat that again.
When Trump has to make these claims that they are, if they're not winning or they don't see themselves in the driver's seat, that's potentially hundreds, if not thousands of people across the U.S. pulling the trigger on themselves, self-deleting.
They don't really take things like that very well. They're very easy to just I don't know, I hate to say it, but it's just weakness. And
But again, that's what remember. Look, you're seeing all of this taking place because why? He's showing you the blueprint. Hey, get some guts. Go through the straight. Oh, we're gonna get people on the ground. I just showed you Operation Eagle Claw. When the last time they tried to insert people in Iran and it failed abysmally. Sorry, but that's history. That's why I don't like history. That's history. Operation Eagle Claw. We just showed it. 1980s. So their fear is now being projected, and now it's being projected inward because outwardly, you now have more black people. I've never seen this. More black people are now so self-aware. You think that the machine became self-aware. Now black folks became self-aware. Hey, can you? Nope, I need, nope. We would be the ones that, oh, yeah. Don't ask us for directions. We keep walking. Don't ask us for anything. We keep going. And literally, you see videos where they are losing their mind because the access to us is gone. And it's not just black people that see that and have recognized that. That's also for our African brothers and sisters that are on over here too, understanding this. We're understanding that there is a separation that is occurring, and they can't stand it. They don't like it. They can't explain it. What do you mean? Why are you doing that? Why are you saying that? Why you treat? Hey, it's not you. It's me. It's okay. It's not you. It's me. I need to process it. Thank you. Thank you for giving me the space to process. Do you know how much they hate that we're using their words against them? Oh, you know what? I think, yes, I need to be in a place to where I can get, the healing together so I'm better able to confront the situation.
Almost as much as we hate when they use our words.
Yep. Why don't you want to protest? Why can't you protest? Why don't you look? Do you know how many protests and demonstrations they've had over this past weekend against the war? We're like, we don't care. All right. Okay. But don't you care about the war? It's not just affecting me. Isn't it affecting you? No.
No.
No. Yeah.
How is this any different from another Tuesday?
It's just a Tuesday. Yeah, exactly. It's just today they're just literally going after nuclear power plants. Okay. Well, okay. Well, if they get both or one, hey, I guess we just have to, I don't know, clean the fish even more, put the fish in more salt to maybe, contain the radiation level. We'll figure it on out. Look, don't worry about it. But aren't you? No, I'm not going to agree with you. Aren't you in agreement with us? Aren't you going to be spiritually in agreement? No.
No, we're done with that.
No.
And they understand it as well. They understand it better than we think they understand it. They understand that they are no longer able to siphon off our
Mm-hmm.
spirit, our essence. This is why they're going crazy.
Oh
It's
yeah.
really weird, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Like,
Look, look. Just see when you give right a dissent. When you give a dissent, and it's like, well, I don't agree with that because that sounds crazy, and that sounds, and then you explain, well, why does it? Can you give me a reason why it sounds like that? Can you provide justification? Can you provide any type of evidence? And when you hit them with that and just say, nah, that gut feeling, remember, Trump messed them up. I had a gut feeling. Woo-hoo, that Iran had some nuclear capabilities. Tonight's the night. We're gonna attack. Oh my goodness. And what did this dude do? What happened to his one of the National Counterterrorism Center? He resigned. He quit yesterday. He said, let me get this thing off the paper, off the printer. He had that thing fresh off the printer. The ink wasn't even dried before he put that in the what is government. So more than likely it was the HP high office printer scanner fax machine. Y'all know what I'm talking about, working in government. Before he had that on the scanner glass, he said, Linda, I'll take this. Don't worry about it, Linda. I got this scan right here. Thank you. I appreciate your dedication and loyalty. I'm gonna miss that. Zero. My man ran back into his office real quick and shot that email. It's going here, it's posting there, it's going, I'm putting this in my personal. It's going there. Because that man said, oh, it ain't my fault. I didn't do that. It ain't my fault. John Kemp said, uh-oh. Oh. Now that is the moral degradation that they now have. They have it. It wasn't a black person that did it. We had nothing to do with this. Y'all did it. Y'all said it. Is that your gut feeling now? Uh-oh. Brother H says, "Six and Chantel." Am I wrong? Am I wrong to say that, to think that way?
oh, no,
No,
it's
you're not.
the whole world can. Sorry, go on.
Go ahead, Sister Chantel. I'll go after you.
Okay. All right. Yeah, the whole world can see whose fault this is, and it's not even. We didn't even have to do anything. It's like they just did it themselves, and in the process of them making a fool of themselves, they also managed to. They also excuse me, but they also managed to piss off everybody else in the whole entire world. The last vestige of your country, and I say that lightly, of your the place that you've been stationed at this moment, of actually being able to build or to to get back its economy or get its economy back in place. They offended the people that went out there to help them.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Karen, who did what Karens do. She Karenized it. And she was like, oh, these people, I don't recognize them.
Whoa.
And she caused an international scandal to the point where you America is dead to the South Koreans. They don't want nothing to do with you anymore. They're still cussing about that.
Yep. The
They're
Hyundai
still
thing.
talking.
Come on. It was the Hyundai thing that happened last year.
It was. They're not over that, and they're never going. The one thing. What did I say to you, Karis? Remember what I said to you? You don't ever want to piss off the South Koreans. They hold a grudge.
Yes, they do. Come on. Yes, they do.
They ain't never gonna let that go. They're never gonna let that go. They're done. They're done. They might actually be one of the horns, the carpenters joined North and South. Come.
Having said that, the United States now is like a good-looking prostitute, either male or female, that could get anybody that they wanted in the early days. But the world has found out that they've got a very bad STI, and because of that, they don't have nothing to do with them. That's how I look at it now.
Oh, it is, one of the things I kind of laugh because, everything that they try on us, they can't do that to the rest of the world. They can't do that. Look, you know what that sounded like? I struck Iran because I was in fear of my life. I struck Iran because they were dark stuff. They be wearing those tunics. I didn't know what to say. This dude literally had no plan.
Really, those people know what's in Jeremiah 50 and 51. Those Talmudists, and they know the role that country was going to play. So they decided, well, we're going to try and circumvent prophecy with our own version of what our child abusing elders say, and we're going to use the goods like what we had on Roosevelt on Donald Trump, and he has to do what we say.
Yeah. Now, I look at it like this. Now, don't get it twisted. They will form confederacies just to form confederacies. Do you see what I'm saying? They will form the confederacy so they can create a goal. This confederacy is to create a goal that they'll say, this has to be world peace. We're done with this. We're done with all the craziness that's on out there, and then again here in the US where I'm located at, and even in the UK, then they'll say, well, why do they feel like that? Well, why are they saying that? Well, we never really did this, or we never, they'll still try to justify things that aren't justifiable. They're now in that spin cycle where it's just like, hey, you're going down the drain, but all we can do is just see you do the rotations down the toilet. You see what I'm saying? We can just look at the flush and we can look at you getting swept out. And then once you're gone, you're gone. That's it. That's what these countries are looking at right now. And if you don't think so, now you're starting to see how they're trying to do and reshape all of these trade negotiation deals with all these other countries. They're doing this right now in the background as we speak. And now you're seeing just a little bit of different things happening because why? In over 2 weeks, countries have run out of gas because of a feeling. No, the feeling was the emperor of the world thought that he knew everything.
Already.
What's that?
Australia might be out of gas already.
Yeah, yeah, because they had to open it up for what, 5 days, 6 days. That was as of what, Sunday night. So they're already halfway there, and now they're trying to say that it's September. That they may have this till September. I don't think it's going to be that far. I don't think so. I think that, to be honest, um, before nations starve, they will turn their back on the U.S. I'm sorry, that's how that goes.
Oh, because that's all they know how to do. Of course, they'll do that. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
there is no loyalty. Again, a thing cannot be any different from its actual nature. You just need to look at their history to know exactly what they would do. And you only need to look at them now in your country to see exactly what they would do. You remove the uniting aspect of that's out of their reach. You remove that, and what do they become? They go right back to hating on one another. There's nothing to be gained from this. They basically, their unity is united on hate. Everything about them, they built their civilization on hate. They built it as, what was it you read in Habakkuk, right? It was literally built on blood, on hate, on just causing a ruckus across the whole world. That's their legacy. And the thing is about legacies is that one side, people don't want to, they don't want to remember that. And the other side, they will remember that, but they will never look at any good that ever could have come out from them. And there's been some good that's come from them, but nobody's going to care about that.
No.
Your legacy is going to be written by those that conquer you now. You are going to be the one that's going to be brought low, and they know this. And they're
Here,
terrified.
here's this. This is a big one. This is from Bloomberg. Remember, Brother Asaph, you said the 30-minute cycle. Well, this is now a 38-minute cycle because this is 43 minutes ago. Sorry, well, yeah, 43 minutes ago. So we're getting there. We're getting there. Bloomberg has Iran warns Gulf nations of major response after gas field strike. This story is by Patrick Sykes and Katarina Katabashi. 43 minutes ago. Bloomberg, Iran warned countries around the Persian Gulf. Oh, they want to say Persian Gulf now. They put some respect on Iran's name. Iran beat that respect. He said they beat that respect back into him. It's not the Arabian Gulf anymore. Now they said Persian Gulf.
Oh, they used a belt.
They beat
They
that
beat them with the buckle.
with the buckle. My goodness. Iran warned countries around the Persian Gulf that a number of energy assets are now legitimate targets after the settler colony attacked its giant South Pars gas field, sending further shockwaves through oil and gas markets. Facilities in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates are on a list of assets now at risk of missile strikes. Iran's semi-official Tasnim news agency reported on Wednesday. That's today. This is all going down. Attacks on Iran's energy infrastructure will not go unanswered, the Fars news provider reported separately. That settler nation carried out the strikes on South Pars. A senior official from the country said, asking not to be named, discussing sensitive matters. Iran shares the Persian Gulf field with Qatar. Dang. Wait a second. Did I just tell you that story about when I went to that island and Qatar was on a speedboat?
You just did.
I just told you that like literally 10 minutes ago, maybe 15.
What a shocker. So it shows that Eastern Mediterranean country, that the guys are not thinking at all. A 2-year-old would not make a mistake like that. It goes to show that we were handed over to a DAMN foolish nation.
So now that that's here, let me explain that to you. That island was located in the South Pars oil field, which is shared with Iran. Qatar, they're gonna call up Qatar. They're gonna give Qatar 12 hours. Get everybody out of there, out of Qatar in 12 hours. They have 12 hours to leave. Or probably even less. They probably said, hey, they probably said, we're going to give them 3 hours. They have 3 hours to leave.
Yeah, and they'll get showers of blessing that they will receive.
Mm-hmm. You can move a lot of people in 3 hours. Oh, Brother Garth, you dropped the Homeland Security testifying. Well, this is going to... All right, so South Pars Sea was kind of like one of those, Iran's not going to touch that because, Iran and Qatar won't touch that because they share that. They share those oil fields. It's a bunch of islands that's there. They have to navigate those islands. They're sharing that oil field. Shouldn't be too big of a deal, too bad of a thing. Now, here you go. Here you go. The settler colony targeting of South Pars is a dangerous and irresponsible step, Qatar Foreign Ministry spokesperson Majed Al-Ansari said in a post on X. And then that climbed above $108 a barrel. So let me tell you also about how oil works, because you have your Brent and your WTI, and then you also have your Asian markets oil. They are diverging, means that they're splitting up, means that you now have a polarization of what the oil is, the real oil price, which is the Asian markets, compared to the market manipulated price. Market manipulation just means that there's oil and reserves that can then sustain the lower pricing effect. Sustained. The oil that is in the Asian markets, they don't have much of a reserve like that, or they're not releasing reserves. So that's the actual real price of oil. And it's somewhere around $150 a gallon. The median, we're looking at about 130 plus. If oil goes to about 130 plus, the national average would definitely be way above $5. It would be $5.25. When you get to levels at about 100, but beyond that, you start to get to about $6 to $7 and even $8 a gallon nationally. If you get to 200, that's going to be about $12 a gallon. 12. Nobody's going anywhere. So those economic conditions that I think Canadian Prepper was asking about when he said, when you have a little bit of a price fluctuation and that price fluctuation then has a residual. Those are called residual secondary effects, tertiary effects. Those are the economic blowback that comes through because then your parity gets lost. It's not paired. So that pricing parity principle then becomes a negative regression. Sorry to be so technical. It's a technical thing. So basically, you think that you're doing a little and then it blows up a lot. It did a little and it's blowing up a lot. Oh, it should only be 3 to 4 weeks or days. 2 to 3 weeks. Half a year. 5 years. Oh yeah. Echo Bella. This ain't no man-made lockdown. This is Trump-made lockdown. Oh, look, give that man credit. He knows everything. He does everything. I'll give him credit on that one. That's Mr. Donald J. Trump. That's my president. And when he wants another lockdown, I'm going to call it Lockdown 2026. Make America really, really safe again. Make America lock down again. Instead of MAGA, it's Malda. Make America lock down again. Oh, that's, yeah. I'm going to have to encourage him to wear that at a cap, have that cap at another procession, another funeral, another disposition of remains ceremony. Make America lock down again. I like it. I like it. I said, you know what? I said, oh boy, those blacks, they really, really have. They're very creative, man. Those blacks. Instead of tacos, I do fried chicken. And here comes the Sentinels. Uh-oh, here they go. They listened. See you later, everybody. YouTube's about to kick y'all off. It's okay. During the lockdown, we're going to give everybody coupons to my favorite. One of my favorite chicken places, Popeyes. Oh, you got to love Popeyes. I don't go to New Orleans a lot, but I love the biscuits. Better than McDonald's. Better than McDonald's. Oh, Sister Chantel, Brother Asaph, if you don't have a Popeyes over in the UK, you're missing out. You're missing out on that. That heart.
We
Heart hardening.
do
Oh, but it doesn't have all the industrial strength chemicals it has in our stuff. Oh boy, you're missing out on a few heart attacks. Oh, you're missing out. Oh, unreal. Unreal, man. So we were just talking about this. The South Pars oil field. It's now been attacked by, look, it's like this. Hey, if ships are getting through the Gulf, then they're going to attack everything. And this is pretty sad. So now all of these nations that thought that they could navigate a country, a people, that said that they are basically not human, or on their level of humanity, they're now finding out the very hard way. So, what they're going to do, because they did not get the proper response, they, U.S. and the settlers didn't get the proper response. More than likely, all of those ships that clear out of Hormuz, well, the U.S. Navy is going to meet them to probably bomb them. And they'll say it's nice, it's national security, because we don't know what they had been exposed to in Iran. We can't trust Iran. We don't know what's happened. I don't know. Why'd you bomb our stuff? Because you made a deal with Iran. It's really that simple. We tried to make it seem like more complicated than what it is. It's not all that complicated. Not that complicated. Sister Chantel, you've been quiet. Okay.
Was literally just leaving. I just left a message saying I'm gonna have to go because I got to make a phone call.
Okay.
I literally just got it. So shalom to everybody in the chat, and shalom to you, Karis, and to you, Uncle Asaph.
Shalom, my sister.
Hi. Shalom.
All right. That is one of our UK correspondents. That they are, look, again, this is global. Now, does the US take the lead in this? Yes, we do. We do. But this is a global event. And because it's global, this is going to spread. But here's the reality. We know that with what we're seeing in Botswana, we know that a lot of the other countries, it's not just Botswana, it's also Angola. And the U.S. is also getting mad at Zambia because Zambia is not giving them enough resources. Why? Because they're going to try to put the squeeze down on these countries that had, quote unquote, made the deal. And remember, they made that deal last year, and we said that's not the deal that they want to make. And the next thing, it's going to look crazy. Oh, my goodness. Line prod. Gas stations in Seattle, Washington have hit $6.09 to $6.49 this morning. Was $4 to $4.49 on Monday. Yep, I kind of had a feeling. I had a feeling that this week we weren't going to escape these gas prices. I think I even said that on Monday. I said we're going to probably look at around $5 a gas by the end of this week. And again, we haven't made it till Friday yet, so we have less than 48 hours, and it's going to get even worse. So much for my side hustles. I don't know what I want to be doing for a side hustle. I know one thing I could probably do for a side hustle. Maybe make some Chinese manga. I was like, fried chicken wing with the fried rice. 3 chicken wing with the fried rice. Isn't that what it is? It's not going to be DoorDash anymore. It's just going to be smash and grab, smash and dash. Oh, you can afford a DoorDash? Let me roll up in your spot. Man, this dude just single-handedly killed this economy. I guess I should have learned a thing or two about them homing pigeons. My dog would be looking at me like, why we got all these pigeons up in here? Be looking at me all crazy. Why you got all these birds in here? Because that's how people are going to be able to communicate things. Because that's going to affect telecommunications. Y'all realize that that does affect telecommunications. You have to have construction crews. You have to have cell phone, engineering crews. Believe it or not, I used to do telecommunications for it was about a year. I did telecommunications, but even in the military, as part of my background in IT infrastructure, it was also satellite communications. So not just imagery and things, but actually communications, right? Making sure that you have it at certain angles, making sure that you do this and that. There's other components to that. So um so understanding how that's going to affect the infrastructure. Well, remember Amazon had already kind of shifted to electric. Most of their stuff they were shifting to electric. Now that shift is going to be even more. But again, I still don't think that, solar is still all up there just yet. But it's going to be coming. Yeah, people are going to really be having to think about their spring break. My goodness. And all that's going to be happening here in the next couple of weeks, especially for those folks in the north. Mm. What a day. Yeah, so it's 108 and it's going to be climbing. The arbitrage, the manipulation, people aren't buying that anymore. You can release as much stuff as you want to release. It's going to be coming down to literally the ration cards. It's coming. The ration cards are coming. Unfortunately. So, or actually, what it won't. So I think okay. Here's what I think it would be, because having lived through this with the hurricane, I think it was Hurricane Matthew. Um, Here in Florida, we had places like out of gas for about 2 to 3 weeks. I know Sister Lila in the chat, she knows what I'm talking about, especially here in Tampa. You only had certain places that would have gas. And those places that had gas, they would have lines like miles back. It was really ridiculous. So now that to me would be what you would have throughout. And don't get it twisted. When they had the gas and they brought that gas, they would have the police that were there. And they made sure that you did not have, you couldn't do any extra canisters, nothing, none of that. You just had to get your gas and you need to go. So is that something that we could be living through here nationwide? Possibly. And the reason I say possibly is because I've seen that before. So keep us up in prayer, family. We're still trying to get this hospital project done. This is going to be the Most High getting this hospital project done. That's awesome. The nth hour, man, oh man. You could visit q2a.org today to help support that and to also help support the organization, because there's a lot of projects that we're doing. Now, I believe you kind of understand why the case was to work with our brothers and sisters on the continent, because you're now seeing what that is truly in, what that truly entails. You're seeing that. When I say neo-diplomacy is the new currency, relationships. Now you're seeing that. They destroyed relationships, and now they're literally getting poorer because of what they destroyed. They destroyed themselves. We didn't do that to them. They did it to themselves. Nah, Shethler, look, you're going to have to start being creative. Your dog can't eat chicken bones. You're going to have to ground that thing on up. You're going to have to put that thing in the Ninja and put it on the puree. Boil it down for a few hours and put that thing in the puree. Put that in the crock pot. Oh. Now this is it. This is, wow, my goodness. Thank you for your prayers, family. Thank you for your support. I do need your prayers, especially in this hour. Brother Asaph is right. It's a lot. It's a lot for us to go through. Yep, the NutriBullet. This is it. And yes, things will be coming a lot more expensive. This is crazy. But here's the thing. The reality is they don't care. Yeah, you're going to have chicken tenderism. Yep. Chicken tenderism. Yeah, Minister Rick is saying that the Chicago gets gas from Canada, and now that's uncertain. Yeah, a lot of this stuff, we're going through this. Yeah, we got a ration. Yep, coupons like 1920. Ration coupons for the 1920s. Oh my goodness. And you know that's going to be coming, but they won't give you coupons. So they'll give you a text message. They'll give you a text. You got to scan this. You got to scan your thing, because here it comes. Y'all don't understand. This is now on the mark of the beast level. You're getting to that beast mode. This is it. This is beast mode, family. We must endure until the end. I don't know when that end is. I pray that that end is sooner than later for real. So, with that, let me get up on out of here, get some stuff done. And with that, family, definitely most high willing, I'll see you all tomorrow. Shalom, salama, siemi, shalom. Peace and blessings. Yasharel.